Hello, and in today's video I'm going to teach you about using silicone molds and how you can make your own. Also, I'm going to show you a little bit about this guy and how I got this patina on him, but I'm not going to show you how to make him. I'm going to use this other guy and start from scratch and duplicate him. I'm Benjamin Spicer with Walton Furnace Woodworking and Design, and this is my YouTube page. Let's go over our tools. You're going to need you some cups, some stir sticks, some scissors, a utility knife, an optional silicone cup, an optional lighter, little mini torch here I got, a hot glue gun, and we're good to go. Oh, don't forget your gloves. You're going to need these. So let's start off with gluing our figure to the plate. Just enough glue on his feet to stick him to the plate so he doesn't shift and move around in the silicone. So I may have put too much on his feet, but here we go. Alright, we're going to glue the cup around the figure. Now I should have cut off the top of the cup so I can see that enough space was between him and the walls of the cup first, but I figured that out a little bit later. So you will see that. So we're going to seal the edges of the cup in here and make sure that none of this silicone is going to get out, because we're going to pour it inside where the figure is. Now that we have our figure all sealed up in his custom container that we made, now let's get our silicone ready and get him out of the way. So for this part we will need gloves because things will start to get messy in this part. You do not want this silicone mixture on your hands because it is a little tough to get off of your hands. So I use a non-latex glove with grippers to make things easy to handle. So this silicone comes in a part A and a part B that we will need to mix thoroughly together. So this mixture is a 1-to-1 ratio, so whatever you use of part A, you will use of part B. So we have our part B poured in one cup, and I'm going to get part A poured in the other cup. And some people use a third cup to put the two in, but I'm just going to dump one in the other and save that third cup. So I'm going to get it all mixed in there, and now we're going to thoroughly mix it all together and make sure that we have one uniform color, and make sure that all of the white is gone and it's all this nice green color. In this process I usually count to 60. It's just a personal thing that I do. Now it is pouring time. So we are going to pour our silicone in this mold. So I'm going to tilt this to the side and then lift the cup up real high so we can have a small steady stream pouring inside this silicone mold. So this is how we eliminate bubbles in the silicone and have a bubble-free mold as much as possible. I do not have a gas chamber, so this is how we do it. And as you can see, the stream is very, very small. It is also important not to dump silicone straight on your object when you start out. You want the silicone to just seep inside the mold so it can get up underneath whatever you are molding, and that way also too you can eliminate any air getting trapped up underneath anything that's in there. So here some did get on the object, but I'm not too worried about that. And also a fan is interfering. I sped up the process a little bit for you guys so you don't have to watch paint dry, but I did have to go back and mix up another batch because I didn't have quite enough to finish the mold. But as you can see, we mixed up another batch, and this is another thing to have this mold Star 15 slow, because it allows us to make mistakes and fix them real quick before this stuff sets up. But now since we have enough in here, our mold is ready, and it's going to take 4 hours for this thing to set up. So now we can set it aside and start on our next project. So you may say, Ben, I don't have time, or I don't want to make a mess. Well, you can buy somebody else's mold that they have already made, and all you have to do is go online and purchase them. So this is a lock and key mold. It has keys and locks on it that you can put on furniture. And I also have some bird molds here that are in the shape of birds. And you can use these molds for anything. You can put resin in them, you can put chocolate in them, you can put ice in them. So you can be very creative with these molds and use them for different things. Put them on projects to have or sell. So you can be very creative with these molds and use them over and over again. So they're more or less like a tool that you can have. Also, I want to go over resin. This is EasyCast. EasyCast is a very user-friendly resin. It comes in a part A and a part B. It's in Michael's Hobby Lobby, and they have a clear and a white. This is the clear. It sets up in 40 minutes, so it's very forgivable if you make a mistake. So it does not cure fast. They do have a white kind that does cure very fast, so please read the label. All resin is not the same. So you can get different kinds online. They have different brands. But this stuff is messy. As you can see, these bottles, as you use them, this stuff just drips everywhere. And so I put them in a Ziploc bag, because do not store these things on the side. I did that one time, and even though the caps are on tight, they find a way to leak out somehow. So this stuff is a nightmare to clean up. So I put them in a Ziploc bag. Now this is an interesting resin here. It is by Art and Glow, and if you buy this resin, they give you a coupon for 20% off your first order. So here is the code right here. So you can get some free glow powder if you buy their product, and also 20% off. So it's really neat. And it works just like the other resins, and it's clear as well. So that's the one I'm going to be using today. Also, I'm going to use my silicone cup. It's got little markers on it, so you can just use 1 cup for making your resin. Just pour up to 1 marker for part A, and then pour up to the next marker for part B, and there's your 1-to-1 ratio. So it's really easy. So that's what I'm going to be doing here. Just making sure I got what I need to do what I'm doing here. And so as you see, I'm measuring it out, and then I'm going to set that aside. and look at what I'm doing here. So I want to make sure that I have enough for what I'm doing, and if I don't, or if I make too much, I am going to pour some in this bird mold here. But since I want to make these things look copper, I'm going to use actual copper. So see this figure here? It's not painted like that, it's actual copper. So I have copper dust. This is very fine copper dust, so please use a dust mask. I have a fan going on in here, so that's what I'm going to be wearing during this tutorial. I am using a voiceover to do this, so that's why you don't hear me sounding like Darth Vader. So please be careful when handling this stuff. It is a mineral. So this is the best dust mask to use. It's by 3M. But if you don't have that type of dust mask, you can use any other type of dust mask. But you do not want this stuff getting in your lungs. So here I'm just dumping it out and putting it in straight on the mold itself. So we want that copper exposed on the mold itself. And then I'm going to take a piece of cardboard and place it on the silicone mold and just give it a good shake and shake it all around there. Then all the excess that didn't stay in the mold, I'm just going to pour that right back in the bag so I can save this other copper for the next project. Alright, now I'm going to put the copper into the resin itself. So I really don't know how much I need here, so I just put 2 scoops in there, and now I'm going to stir it up. We are really relying on how we dusted the mold versus how much copper is in the resin here, because the copper that is on the outside of the mold is what people are going to see. So here we're going to use the other part of the resin and fill up the second half of what we need. So here we go. One thing you may notice with this part A and part B is one side may come out faster than the other, so it may take you by surprise. It did me this time. Alright, this is where the magic happens. Just like the silicone, to get rid of those bubbles or to try to avoid them, is we are going to pour really high and have a long thin stream. But with resin, you can use a torch to get rid of these bubbles. You just want to hit it 1 or 2 times. You don't want the flame to sit there long on it. Some people use just use a straw and blow on it. But when you hit it with this flame, just like I'm doing here, the bubbles will pop instantly. So just be careful when you're using this torch. So remember, long, steady, thin stream. This is something that you do not want to rush. This is not a fast project. The slower you are with this, the better outcome your project will be. Did I even say that right? The better outcome you will have. Now the biggest project on this piece only took half my cup, so more than likely we will have enough for the rest of what we thought here. So I'm going to continue to work on these other locks and keys and keep on moving around here. Now I did speed up the video, so I'm really not working this fast. Now, just out of a quarter of this cup here, I was able to get a significant amount of work done on this piece. So as you can see, I got 2 of these keys done, and also, let's see, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 of the locks done. So, you know, more than half of this whole mold set done out of a quarter cup of resin. So I'm very happy with this outcome. Something else I'm going to do is just hit these bubbles with a torch and get the bubbles out, but this is going to take 24 hours to cure. So I'm going to come back in about 12 hours because that is when it is safe to touch and get these out of the molds, but it is going to be 24 hours. This is the next day and our resin is solid enough to work with. So it is 12 hours later and we have a rubbery feel to our resin. So let's take a look at our resin. We did have a gnat that got in it last night, but that's not going to affect how the piece is going to look because we're using the other side. So this side that the gnat is on is going to be glued to something, so we really don't care about what happened there. So if you do have concern with that, you might want to put some type of enclosure around it or something like that. I don't know. But this piece, you can see that it is workable here. It is going to be flexible, so the stuff that spilled over can be cut off really easy with our X-Acto knife. So I'm going to show you that, and let's get this stuff out of the mold here. As you can see, the dusting of the copper, I'll show you that all of our pieces here did get dusted well except one, and that one is still good, but here we are pulling off the pieces from the mold, and it does release very easy. You just pop it right off, and here it's all coming off in one piece, and that's because of the flashing. But this is going to come, it's going to cut away really easy here. But here is our final piece, well, our finished piece basically, and it looks very good. So I'll show you the lock here. And the good thing that I see here is that we have no bubbles. So we did a good job here of doing a slow pour and pouring it high and just letting that resin work into the details. So that's what you want. You do not want to rush any process when working with the resin. Look at this lock here. It looks very nice. This has very little details in it. Very little itty bitty cracks and stuff. So you do want to work slow. Now this piece here, it is almost clear, so I didn't put a lot of copper in the resin. I should have put more to make it more opaque, but since we dusted the other pieces, it doesn't matter. But I just used whatever I had left in the cup for this last mold, but you almost can see through it. So for this piece we can paint it for another piece, but it's not going to have the same effect as the copper ones will. You can't do anything to it to make it shiny or do anything with the corrosion technique with this one. It's just going to be like that. So the only thing that you can do is just paint it or leave it as is. Alright, so now we're going to cut away the flashing. So since this stuff is very flexible and soft, we just use our little X-Acto knife and just cut away. Very easy. And we could have saved this step right here if we would have just been careful and poured not as much in the molds here, but we over poured, so we do have to clean this up. So I'm just going to fast forward this because I mean it's not a secret how to cut this away. So and a lot of this, since it has a micro edge on this type of mold, you can tear it away with your hands, but I just used a X-Acto knife to cut right close to the edge there. And I thought maybe that the keys and the locks fit together, but they don't. This is just for decorations. And there we go. There's our finished pieces there. But wait, there's more. We have to make them look like copper. So we are going to start. Here I'm showing that maybe we should have filled it up 3/4 of the way instead of all the way up, to avoid that whole cutting part. But you know, everything can't be perfect all the time. Oh, okay, so here we go. We are going to get our little creature guy out of his mold. So we just cut away the bottom. Just get him out of the sealed plate here. And that comes off really easy. And we'll just make a simple slice on the side. And it just takes a little bit of elbow grease to get him out of the mold here. So we just work him out of the mold. There we go. He's coming out. He's almost out. Oh! There we go. And he is unharmed and can live another day. So now we can make multiple creatures, as many as we want, from this one mold. So I'm going to use that same dusting technique that I used with the lock and keys with this creature mold here, and just put a little bit of copper dust in it and then give it a good shake. And then pour the excess back into the bag. I used 4 scoops of copper with him because with the other ones I didn't use as much, so I used 4 scoops of copper with the creature here. So we're going to get these birds ready for resin. We already dusted them, so we're going to shake the copper around in the bird molds and do exactly what we did with the lock and key. Just want to get rid of some bubbles. We do not want any bubbles in our resin, and we're doing the high pour method because we had really good luck with it last time, so we're going to do the same thing as we did last time. So on this with the creature, we're going to fill it up halfway and then work the resin around in the details of this one. So just slowly work it around in the details, and then we're going to fill it up the rest of the way, again using the high pour method with the thin stream, and fill it all the way up to the top. It's okay if we get a little bit crazy and have some spillage. And so he is going to sit in here for 24 hours. And let's move on to our birds. Hold on. Okay. Now let's move on to our birds. Okay, here we go. Moving on to our birds here. So we're pouring slow, but we're moving fast. It doesn't, in reality, we're moving slow, but you know what I mean. This is just a time lapse. So just for the sake of time, that's what I did. And we're moving on to the next day here. And I'm going to show you how to get this look on the finished pieces that we did. So on this little figure, he's got a aged look to the copper because I actually painted vinegar on him and set him outside. So to speed up that process, I used white vinegar, and then we're going to use ammonia and salt, and we're going to have that same look in the same day instead of waiting several days for that crusty green stuff to grow. So just watch carefully on how we're going to do that. We're going to stick a little cup of ammonia in a Ziploc bag and create like a gas chamber. We're not going to pour the ammonia on anything. It's just going to sit in the same little compartment as these items. So the ammonia is going to go inside the Ziploc bag, and we're just going to paint vinegar directly on the pieces. So I'm getting my vinegar in a separate cup here, my little paintbrush. And we're going to start working the vinegar in the details here. Just sprinkle the salt on there. And the salt really isn't necessary. It just adds a texture to the finish when it does come out. But if you don't have salt, that's okay. It just adds like a chunky texture to it. So you can leave that step out if you want to. It's optional. You're still going to have that blue and green effect to the piece. But you will get results same day with this technique. So here the pieces are inside our little Ziploc bag, and the cup of ammonia sitting in there, and it's just hanging out, making like a little gas chamber. Here are the pieces. So this is just within 15 minutes or so. And as you can see, it's got a light blue and green look to it. And if that's where you want the corrosion to stop, you can just brush away some of it and clear coat it right then and there. But if you want it to continue and look darker, just leave it in there. And I'm just going to take some steel wool and brush away some of the salt and things, and just rinse it off a little bit so I can paint the clear coat on there. This piece here, it is bigger. For some reason, the corrosion didn't take to it, so I'm going to put it back inside our little gas chamber that we made, and allow the ammonia to work inside the copper. But these little pieces, it did corrode faster for some reason. So the bigger pieces take longer for some reason, and the little pieces corrode faster. And working with these pieces, you forget that this is resin, just with some copper added to it, and you didn't use any type of forge or melt any metal to get these results. So working with these pieces, when they're all ready to put a clear coat in, I use a clear varnish. This Krylon specialty clear varnish is a good varnish for it. It's for wood, metal, and more, So it's a one fits all type of clear coat. So here's our little birds that we got out, and so they did not need any extra prep because we did not have any spillover. Here's some more pieces that we got out of the out of our little Ziploc bag, and they did come out a little bit darker, so this is the same day. And here is the big piece that we put back in there, and so it did come out, it got a little bit bluer, or more blue, however you want to say it there. And there's our key, and it looks like we got this out of out of some type of old treasure chest or something like that, so it looks really neat. And I'm just going to brush away some of this, some of the salt and everything, and you will lose some of the corrosion, so the more you brush away things, the more corrosion you will lose, so keep that in mind. But you can really tell the difference from what we started with and what we ended up with these pieces. So it looks very nice. Now our figure is ready, and we're going to get him out of the mold here. It just takes a little bit of elbow grease, but he will come out. And there's our character here, a perfect copy of the original that we put in. And I'll show you the original here. There's the original, there's the copy, and we're just going to polish him up as well. He's all shiny. So I hope you enjoyed our tutorial about making things look like copper, or making copper things without using heat forge or anything like that. This is something that is very easy for you to do at home, and you can make some very interesting things using this method. And not only copper, but they make iron filings and brass filings and silver filings, so you can do the same thing with these different metals. They make powders for all metals, and use the same method to have different results. And also I've taught you how to make a mold to make copies of different figures as well. So I hope you learned something and built a new skill today. And as time goes on, I'm going to be making more videos, so I hope you subscribed so you can get a notification when a new video comes out. And if I can answer any questions, please drop a comment, and so I can respond to them. And please get ready for the next video so I can teach you something new. And have a great day, and I'll see you in the next video.